Yeah,
All right, guys. Well, I'm Mr. D, and I am at Legion, and I'm so excited to have Mr. P with us. He is from Grand Classrooms. I've been with him before in the past. They know me as Colorado. That's my nickname, and I've had a great time with them going to Grand Canyon. And I wouldn't be pushing this so hard unless I really truly believed in this program. And from what they've done in the past to what they're doing now with the Grand Canyon, it's incredible because they've added Bryce Canyon and Zion Canyon, and it's just going to be an incredibly packed 5-day thing. The 11th, 12th graders, they all get to go to something new for me, Grand Tetons and Yellowstone. And the whole thing is, this is just the initial year coming up, and this is going to be every year. So if your child doesn't make it for next year, something comes up, then you have the following year. You know, if they're a 9th grader, they got 4 years or 3, well, actually 4 years to, go on a trip with me and go on a trip with us. So I really want to get this rolling, and I'll say it for the ones, so the recording wise, if your child has a best friend in another school, they are welcome to attend too. This is not really Legion. I just house it out of Legion. It's really through Grand Classrooms, and I'm just kind of like the hostess for them, the team leader, trip leader, and they are welcome to bring friends from another school or church. It doesn't matter to me where they're coming from, but they're allowed to have a best friend, because we have some students that are just kind of quiet here and have a best friend somewhere else. And I had one ask, I said, yeah, bring them. So anyway, I'm Mr. D. This is Mr. P, and you can take it away.
Sounds good. Thank you, folks. Again, my name is Peter Popovsky. Mr. P is fine. That's okay. I am with Grand Classroom Educational Travel. Like Mr. Davis said, I've been doing this a long time, and he's worked with us in the past at other schools. We are a travel company that loves taking kids outdoors, and we love the national parks. And that's why we are offering these programs to your school, hoping that kids will jump on board and get excited about it. I'm going to do a presentation. It should take about 20 minutes or so. Then we can open up the questions and we'll go from there. So give me a minute here to share my screen and get this going. Bear with me.
Thank y'all for the ones who joined.
Okay, folks, let's see what we got here. I'm going to lower this, bring this down, and okay. So Barry, I'm going to turn this into a slideshow. Please tell me we can all see this in one. Can we see this? Yes. Hello? Mr. Davis, can you see this?
Yes, sir. Got you.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, good deal. Okay, bear with me. So we got 2 trips here. So this is a little unique experience because I'm going to be talking about 2 trips tonight opposed to 1. So we'll have a few extra slides talking about the itineraries and stuff like that. So the whole purpose of this meeting is to talk about the trip, but to also answer questions too, to make you folks feel comfortable with who we are and what we're all about and why we do this. So these slides will kind of be talk tracks for me. So just bear with me as I go through them. And basically, I want to tell you a little bit about who we are and why would you send your kids on a trip with us. Okay, I mentioned I'm in Charlottesville, Virginia. That's where our corporate is. But we do have employees all over the United States. We are not a large company and we're not a small company. We have about 45 to 50 employees. We've been doing this since 2002. We take about 25 to 30,000 kids out a year all over the world. But our national parks has always been our bread and butter. Those are our trips that we love. And that's where we started our company back in 2002, going to the Grand Canyon. So the Grand Canyon trip is our signature trip, but all the national parks are our signature trips. Let's see. We also travel to historic cities. We go to international destinations. So we travel everywhere, and we're very passionate about what we do. Why do you want to send your kids on these trips? And I'm sure many of your families there will travel with their students on vacations and such, but having students travel with their classmates and their peers is invaluable. And this is really my favorite slide here. It talks about what is really important about student travel, getting kids out and about and getting them a little bit out of their comfort zone to go to areas and do things differently than they have in the past. But obviously there's building confidence, encourages leadership. On these trips that we do, there will be obviously teacher chaperones, but there'll also be Grand Classroom educational guides and guides for that run the trip and help these kids and encourage them into being young adults. Most of our guides are former educators, similar to Mr. Davis, who left the classroom and now want to teach outdoors and take kids to experience things outdoors. So these other bullet points here: harvest is friendship, education outside the classroom. The teachers there at Legion are, I'm sure they're amazing, but I would bet you they would all tell you that you can learn so much more by seeing, touching, feeling, and doing. So that's one of the benefits of these travel programs, is getting kids out there to do things a little bit differently. Team building, independence, adventure. We love adventure. Okay. That being said, these trips are meant for all shapes and sizes. We do some hiking, we do some rafting, we do all sorts of cool stuff, but it's meant for everybody. We don't go crazy and where only certain kids can accomplish and complete the missions that we put them on. And again, we bestow stewardship to the environment. We're really big into that. We like to leave places no trace. We want kids and families to respect these amazing areas we have in the United States and across the world. Safety. Why would you send your kids out with Grand Classroom? Well, we've been doing it a long time, and I'd love to tell you we're perfect and nothing ever happens, but there are times when kids might twist an ankle or something happens. Well, we have all the safety precautions in place to make sure that we take care of them. All of our guides on these trips have WFR training, wilderness first responder training, CPR, all sorts of different medical trainings to make sure these kids are safe. And we also have an emergency contact number. So if something arises on the trip or at home, and you need to get in touch with your child, or the child needs to get in touch with you, you can call that number at any time. We here at Grand Classroom man that number. It's not manned by some other country. It is manned here. I have to take it for 2 days a month, and I'm woken up at 3 or 4 in the morning sometimes where I have to take care of issues. But we all know what groups are out there. We know what the protocols are to make sure everybody's safe and take care of all the issues. All travelers will have medical and dental insurance along with liability insurance. We carry $5 million in liability. This mentions security at hotels. That typically is the case when we're in cities. When we're in remote areas like the Grand Canyon and Yellowstone, we do not have security people at the hotels. We've never had a problem with it. Kids are safe. We have the opportunities to sometimes tape doors. Our guides would kind of watch the hallways for the few hours while the kids are in bed to make sure kids don't leave the hotels. But we haven't had a problem with it. We run a tight ship in regards to this. Student health on tour. One of the important things is making sure Grand Classroom knows about any medical conditions, any food allergies. So this will all be done through the registration process. And as we go, we will send you forms that need to be filled out. And you just let us know basically what kind of conditions your child has, so we make sure we address them when we're on tour. That being said, we do not administer medication. We do not discipline kids on tour. That has to be done by either the medication has to be done by either the teacher chaperones, or the medication has to be done by the child and or the teacher chaperones. Again, they'll hold on to the medication. We won't have anything to do with that, but we also want to make sure we know of it so everything is taken care of while your kids are on tour. We're talking high schoolers here. They should be pretty competent in doing that. Sometimes we travel with middle schoolers and elementary school students, so we need to know a little bit about them more so than high school students. But that being said, we just want to make sure we dot our I's and cross our T's. Trip highlights. So let's talk about the 9th and 10th grade trip first, which we call the Grand Circle. And why do we call the Grand Circle? Is because we fly into Las Vegas, and then we do this circle and head up towards Zion National Park, and then over to Kanab, Utah, and then over to Bryce Canyon, and then down to Page, Arizona, and then to the south rim of the Grand Canyon, then to Sedona, Arizona, and then back to Las Vegas. So it's an amazing packed adventure where you get to see 3 of the most amazing national parks out there. This is the first trip I did actually, I did both of these trips with my kids. It's the first trip we did outside of a beach trip. So about 7 years ago, I took my kids. We flew into Bozeman, Montana, and we started in Yellowstone, and then we went to the Tetons, and then we were on the Snake River, and then we went to Bryce, and then we went to Zion, and then we went to the Grand Canyon. So I did all of them in one 12-day trip, and it changed my life and it changed my kids' lives because we started doing things differently. Since then, we don't do beach trips anymore. We go to national parks. We go to the international destinations. So we do all this cool stuff. I'm a huge believer in this. So let me jump into the highlights a little bit about this trip. So on day 1, typically we would fly out. We're going to fly out of Charlotte really early in the morning. Okay. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock flight. That way we get into Las Vegas before noon. And then we jump on a coach bus and we're heading out to Zion National Park, and we'll spend time in Zion National Park. Some of the things we do there is hike the Riverside Walk into the Narrows. This is a famous walk that kind of goes through the Virgin River. It's really exciting and cool. We visit Zion's famous Emerald Pools. We take in Checkerboard Mesa, the picture on the right-hand side, and stunning Mount Carmel Tunnel. Zion is amazing. The difference between a lot of these parks is at Zion, you look up, okay, you see you're down in the valley, where these other parks we're going to go to, we're looking down. So you get both views of these amazing canyons and all this great stuff. Um, Heading out to Bryce, again, we'll hike a little bit down into the canyon, but the initial view will be here on the top right, where we're looking down into Bryce Canyon, which is really, really cool. These are called hoodoos. All these little formations, rock formations, and we'll see these on the Queens Garden Loop and the Navajo Loop trails. We'll hike the Bristlecone Loop Trail, ride down the dune. Then we'll head back towards Kanab, Utah, where we stay, and we'll stop at this place called Coral Pink Sand Dunes. And what's cool about Coral Pink Sand Dunes is we rent these sleds and we slide down the dunes just like it's snow, and the kids have a blast. I've actually been there when it's snowing too, so you can either do it on the snow and or the sand dunes. So fun times, kids love it. Really cool thing to do. Just seeing different areas of this country that a lot of kids have never seen is amazing. Um, and then we can head out to Page, Arizona. We can hike the Toadstools, Horseshoe Bend, this iconic area here on the left with the river running through it in circular horseshoe area. We'll take a smooth water float down the Colorado River. We'll cross what's called the famous Navajo Bridge, and then we get into Flagstaff, Arizona. Maybe that night we'll do a rock climbing adventure at a local gym. Kids seem to like that too. It's really cool. Next day we wake up and we head to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. We spend a lot of time in the Grand Canyon. We hike the South Kebab Trail with local guides. We go out to Ooh Point, which is cool. It's a place on the top right here. Then we'll visit Desert View Watchtower on the bottom right. And then we can check out Cameron Trading Post and do some souvenir shopping. Rest assured, kids love to souvenir shop and buy stuff at these things. So we will always stop for time for kids to do stuff like that. You know, they love bringing home trinkets and sweatshirts or t-shirts or whatever it might be. So we'll always do that. And then the next day we get up, we head a little to Sedona, Arizona. We spend a little time in Sedona, and then we got to get on the bus and head towards Las Vegas, which is about 4.5 hours away. We get to Vegas, we watch the Fountains of Bellagio, we have a nice dinner, and then we head to the airport around 9 o'clock for a red-eye flight home. And so it's a long day. These are tiring trips, but the adults get tired. The kids don't seem to get too tired. They just keep going and going and going. And so we arrive home in Charlotte on day 6 in the morning, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, 5 full days of touring, but a 6-day trip. So really, really cool. Register for this trip. Here's the information on this one. The price, the standard price is $2,815 per student, but we're having an early bird special of $2,665 per student if you register by the end of this month. $150 is $150. I know if my kids were going on this trip, I'd be doing an early registration. The trips are 100% all inclusive. Kids don't have to come with anything else, but they will want money for snacks or souvenirs. And I'll talk about what's included in a minute. Adult price, if adults are invited, I don't know if they are or not, but that basically is if the kids want to stay 2 to a room, because these trips, typically kids are staying 3 or 4 to a room. But there is an option to pay additional money if you want your kid in 2 to a room. Most kids don't. Most kids are completely happy with 3 or 4 in a room. It's a big party. They have a blast. But I leave that up to you to decide whether you want to do it. We have a deposit set at $250. So if you register before May 31st, we need you to put down the $250 deposit. If you just register and opt out before it comes committing to money, then you're not on the list to register. You do have to pay the deposit. We have options for installments. You know, you have plenty of time to set up 8 installments or whatever, because I know a lot of people don't have this money. So you can set up monthly installments, or you can call us if you need custom installments where you want to pay a little bit in a month from now and a little more in a few months later. We're very, very flexible. So think about that when it comes to paying for this. We'll help you out any way we can. We do offer some options for trip insurance. I hate to use that, but it's just help. It saves your investment. We have something called Travel Refund Program Plus for $3.99, allows you to cancel for any reason at all, up to 24 hours prior to travel. Or we have something called Travel Refund Program for $199, and that allows you to cancel for basically any reason up to 7 days prior to travel. You could read about it in our terms and condition if you want to learn more. It's on our website, and it will discuss it in the registration process also. We want to be transparent and make sure you folks know what you're signing up for. So let's see, scan this QR code right now if you wanted to get to the website. We'll go to the trip highlights on this one too. Let me talk about what's included in these trips anyways. I mentioned all inclusive, but that's all meals, all activities, airfare, coach bus transportation. Everything's included in these trips. The only thing we don't include is the tip for your guide. And typically a $10 tip at the end of the trip is sufficient, $10 to $20 for the guide on the trip. So consider that when your kids might get some spending cash that you might want to give them money for that, because it's an optional tip. You don't have to give it to the guide, but if you do, it goes a long way. So thank you. So the next trip here, again, Yellowstone and Tetons, two amazingly different places. You get to see totally different places. Yellowstone, our first national park, which is amazing. It's vast. It's huge. It's insane. So let me talk about this same situation. Fly out of Charlotte early in the morning. We head to Salt Lake City. Get to Salt Lake City by lunchtime, and we're off going things. And we'll hit the Lava Hot Springs, Idaho, right off the bat. Tube down to Pernod River. Soak in the hot pools of lava hot springs. So we're doing something right away. And we're going to spend 3-4 hours there. Then we'll start heading up to West Yellowstone, right outside of Yellowstone National Park. And then the next morning we get up, we tour the Grizzly and Wolf Discovery Center. And then we go inside Yellowstone National Park, take a ranger-led tour through the Norris Geyser Basin, see the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, which is the river. It's probably one of my favorite parts. The waterfalls at Yellowstone are insane. They're unmatched. And you're up so close to them. It's so cool. Love it. See the Grand, let's see, next one, sorry. Then we can visit the Grand Prismatic Spring, see Old Faithful, famous Old Faithful that goes off every 30 minutes or so. It's just insane. It's fantastic. And then after that, we head down, we spend a couple days in Yellowstone, and then we go out to the Grand Teton National Park. And we could do Jenny Lake is in front of these amazing mountain ranges. We ferry across Jenny Lake. We do a hike up to Hidden Falls and Inspiration Point, which is really cool. I was blown away when I saw the Tetons. I had no idea what to expect, and it's just amazing. And then we'll take a smooth water float down the Snake River, but also after the smooth water float, we do a whitewater rafting. This isn't class 4 and 5s. This is class 2s and 3s. It's fairly safe, but the kids love it and have a blast. We'll be spending the nights there in Jackson. People think of it as Jackson Hole with the ski areas, but the town is called Jackson. We'll see the performance of the Jackson Square Shootout. People love this. It's so cool. It happens in the center of town. And so then after we spend a day and a half or so in the Tetons, we head back towards Salt Lake. Wait a second. We got to hike around Taggart Lake. We're going to do another hike. I forgot about this. Then depart for Salt Lake. View the Soda Springs Geyser. Enjoy some time in Salt Lake, have dinner in Salt Lake. It's really cool in different area. And then again, we're going to get on a flight around 10, 11 o'clock at night, and we're going to take a red eye back to Charlotte, where you'll arrive 8 o'clock in the morning. 5 full days of traveling, but a 6-day program with the extended travel day on the last day. If I had to pick a trip, I couldn't tell you. The only difference is Grand Canyon trip, you can go basically year round. The Yellowstone Teton trips are really only good during the, May and beyond. And that's why we've changed things in regards to the timing. So we're doing the Yellowstone trip. Let's see, a little later in the year, I believe. Am I correct in thinking that way?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay.
First week school's out. Yep.
Yep. You got it. And so, just amazing destinations that are super cool national parks. Again, same situation. This one's a little bit more expensive. Things are more expensive in that area. $298.98 per student with a $150 discount if you register by 5/31. If you wanted to stay two to a room, or if adults are going at two to a room, it's a $300 additional charge. The deposit on this trip is $275. Do at registration. Same type of trip protection. They just cost a little bit different. So you have the options for that. Everything basically is the same. You can scan this QR code right now if you wanted to get to that website. But we've also sent out flyers too, Mr. Davis, right? They
Yes,
have
sir.
flyers and yeah,
And I'll
okay,
send them out again, and I'll send them out. They're in the emails as well, and I'll be sure the scan codes are in there too.
you got it.
QR
Cool.
codes will be there too.
Okay. And so again, how much money do you need? So $50 to $100 for snacks and souvenirs is fine. Everything else is included. We typically stay in Hilton or Marriott properties, but sometimes in these remote areas, they don't have those type. So we're staying at more, iconic hotels in these areas that are really cool. Again, the rooming situation is the same. Two to room is available. Forms you need to fill out. Basically, what I mentioned before, there'll be forms. There will be a behavior contract that we ask the kids to sign. In 22 years of doing this, only one kid is actually not done something that actually, made this break the contract, and he was sent home. Most kids are great on these trips. They're enjoying their time with their friends and their teachers and our guides that are helping them along too. So really, really good time. These trips are amazing. Right for now, I am your contact at Grand Classroom, but that being said, all you have to do is call the number there, and anybody that picks up the phone will answer it. You can email me if you wanted to, but in the next month or so, this trip will be turned over to an account manager that will help Mr. Davis manage every aspect of the trip. The itinerary right now is a work in progress. All those things I mentioned, we will try to incorporate into the trip. It's just making reservations, and it might work out a little bit different logistically than what you see on the itinerary that has been passed out. So let us know if you have questions down the line. I'd be happy to answer questions tonight too. Let me see what else we have here. Yeah, let me get out of this real quick. And I'm going to show you a few things. And so this is the let's see. Hold on. Wait. This is the website you folks go to. This is the one for the Yellowstone trip. We're doing that at the end of May and in June. And when you register, you just come down here, register as a student. If adults or parents are invited, which I don't know if that's the case, Mr. Davis, are they invited?
They can be. I've had a lot of parents ask if they could go, so I'm gonna let them go as well if they want.
Okay, you got it. So that's how you'd register. You always have to register as a student or an adult. And for some reason, the student ends up rooming with their adult parent, and it's at tutor room. We will adjust the pricing accordingly down the road, so don't worry about that initially. And so you just walk through the process and register. This is a copy of the sample itinerary. I'm sure you might have seen this already. This is how it will lay out. It will change as time goes on, but typically it will stay very similar, just maybe in different orders. And then, bear with me. Do I have the, no, I thought I had a flyer here somewhere. This is what a flyer looks like. This is the one for the Grand Canyon trip. There's also a flyer for the Yellowstone trip. It has a link directly to the website. So you just click on register here. It will bring you to the website. If you don't have these, you can always go to grandclassroom.com and hit search for my trip and just put in South Carolina Legion Collegiate, and it will get you to your website. There's different ways to do this. And then there is the itinerary for this trip also, the Grand Circle trip. So all this information needs to be dispersed out. Look at it. If you're interested in registering, I would strongly recommend doing it by May 31st. If for some reason we register throughout the summer, we're going to probably let this go until September or October sometime to make sure we get everybody registered. For some reason that we don't get enough participants on this trip and we can't make one of them, don't worry. You can transfer to I don't know if you're going to transfer, but we will always give you your money back if for some reason we have to cancel a trip because lack of participation. You won't lose a dime. So there's nothing to lose by putting your deposit down. So feel free to put it down and we will get some people on these trips. The excitement, I was told, is really good. And I've known, I'll call him Colorado, Mr. Davis, for a long time. And he's got the passion to do this. You got the right guy leading this trip. He's an amazing person when it comes to outdoor education and things like that. Just very passionate about what he does. So it's good to have him on board. And I'm going to get out of here, if you don't mind, I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm back. And, we're kind of limited on time. That's why I was talking fairly quickly, because I just know sometimes these Zoom meetings don't last but 40 minutes and we might run out of time. So I want to leave time for questions.
And don't be hesitating to send me an email. I don't mind answering emails. So just, and tell anybody that maybe it's not a parent here, just give my email and just, just put in the notes that trip information, please. And I'll be glad to answer anything. I'm gonna put my number down there and people can call me too.
Yeah. And spread the word. These are amazing opportunities, these trips. I'm a big believer. I pay for these trips every year with my kids. And it's invaluable. So if you get the opportunity to go on this trip, I strongly recommend it and spread the word. These trips are, how these work is you get one or two kids signed up, and it spreads like wildfire, and they kind of follow, and everybody would jump on the trip. And next thing you know, we got 30, 40 kids going on a trip, and everybody's excited.
And that's the whole thing, like I said, the first year is just gonna be kind of the rough year, but once we get it rolling, parents, you'll have an idea where your child's at, what they want to do, graduation trip for seniors only, or however they want to do it. If they want to go to the Grand Canyon, they can. Like I said, Grand Canyon Circle is 9 through 12, but the Yellowstone Grand Teton is 11 through 12, just because it's kind of a little upper, more physical and just being with the wildlife. And I've been around, I lived in Alaska a few years, so I know what it's like to be up against the wildlife, and you need to know how to behave. So
Yeah, the wildlife in Yellowstone is insane. It's fantastic. And I didn't mention that, but that's part of what Yellowstone's all about. The bison, everything you see is just fantastic. So it's
the
cool.
kids are going to be close to wildlife at Yellowstone. I need
Yep.
mature, not somebody to go screaming.
So if there's any questions, if not, it's okay.